In this video, I'll show you how to fine-tune any of the Gemma 4 models that you see here using Unsloth. We'll be working inside a Jupyter notebook to keep the entire process simple and easy to follow. This will be a live coding session, but if you prefer an easier setup, you can also use Unsloth Studio. It's a great option to get started quickly. The goal of this video is to show you how to fine-tune Gemma 4 locally, even if you are working with limited compute. If you decide to use Unsloth Studio, you can follow the link in the description and install it using the provided commands. I installed some of the dependencies needed on my Mac, and now I'm gonna run this shell command. So you can see it installed the Python 3.13 virtual environment. After a few seconds, everything is installed, the health check passes, and the UI is now running on port 8888. Now I'm gonna log into the Unsloth Studio website, and this is how it actually looks. Not much here, to be honest. I don't see many options. I don't see the training option enabled. So let's head over to the search bar. This is where you can browse through all the available models. You'll find different families like Gemma, various diffusion models, Quen, Llama, and more. For this example, let's type in Gemma 4 and hit search. From the results, go ahead and pick the specific model and dataset that fits what you are trying to do. After selecting a model, you can start customizing it, adjusting the hyperparameters, tweaking. Now at this stage, you will see option for quantization. Quantization basically controls how the model is compressed to balance performance, speed, and memory usage. You'll notice a recommended option like UDQ4XL, which is a good default if you're not sure what to pick. So if you look at the options here, BF16 is a full precision, highest quality, but of course it's gonna use most memory. UDQ8 is a very high quality with compression, still resource heavy. So in this case, the recommended one we'll select. You can also fine tune the configuration here to match your needs. Adjust things like context length, KV cache, and sampling settings such as temperature, top K, and top P to control how the model responds. These settings help you balance creativity, accuracy, and performance, so feel free to tweak them depending on your use case when you are testing it out. So that's how you can fine-tune Gemma using Unsloth Studio. But for this video, we'll be doing a full fine-tuning run inside a notebook. Now, if you take a look at the official fine-tuning guide, there are a few important things to note. Unsloth can train Gemma 4 about 1.5 times faster while using roughly 60% VRAM, less VRAM compared to FA2 setups. In terms of requirements, Gemma 4 E2B can now run as little as 8 GB of VRAM, while E4B typically needs around 10 GB. You can actually choose between multiple notebooks depending on your use case. For example, you have vision and text, audio, or RL notebooks. For this example, I'll be using E2B RL GRPO setup. One of the nice things here is that you can actually run reinforcement learning on Gemma 4 with as little as 9 GB of VRAM, which is pretty efficient. If you are working with LoRA, Gemma 4 E2B LoRA can require around 8 to 10 GB of VRAM. For larger setups, 31B QLoRa works with around 22 GB of VRAM, and for using a bigger model, which is the A4B LoRa model, you can now need more than 40 GB of VRAM. Finally, once your training is done, you can export or save your models in formats like TGUF, and full fine-tuning is also supported. But before we jump into the code, if you are not familiar with RL-GRPO, RL stands for Reinforcement Learning and GRPO is your Generalized Reward Policy Optimization, which is a method used to fine-tune models based on feedback rather than just static dataset. So instead of simply learning from your labeled examples, the model learns by optimizing its response based on a reward signal. This is specifically useful for aligning the model's output with the desired behavior, improving things like reasoning, formatting, or response quality over time. You can look at our video on Gemma 3 where we discuss these concepts in more details. The link is in the description. As we go through the fine-tuning process, the GRPO concept will start to make a lot more sense. Now coming back to the actual fine-tuning part, I'll be using the E2B RL example. The goal is to train a Gemma 4 to solve Sudoku puzzle using reinforcement learning, especially GRPO. In simple terms, the model will try to figure out how to fill in the empty cells and we'll reward it whenever it makes correct moves or completes a valid puzzle. This way, the model is just not memorizing the examples, it is actually learning a strategy through rewards. Wait. Don't get overwhelmed by the code here. It is just setting up an optimized environment for running and training AI models by installing key ML libraries. So it installs PyTorch, Trident, custom kernels for GPU speed in bits and bytes to reduce memory uses so large models can run on smaller hardwares. And of course, it installs Unsloth APIs. So we are also upgrading transformers for model loading, tokenizers for text processing, and TRL for reinforcement learning methods like GRPO. So overall, it's just creating a complete setup for efficient LLM training and fine-tuning. After setting up the environment, I'm gonna upgrade TIM. If you are not familiar, it's a widely used computer vision library that provides state-of-the-art models like Vision Transformers and Efficient Net. Then we are importing fast vision model from Unsloth, which is like a wrapper for loading and fine-tuning models from the Unsloth model zoo. For Gemma 4, there are multiple variants that are available. Here we are choosing Gemma 4 E2B, which is a multimodal model. Setting the sequence length as 1496, so it can handle longer inputs and more complex reasoning. Load in bit 4 is 4 bit is equal to false means we are using a high precision. So LoRA works by adding small trainable metrics to the model instead of updating all parameters, right? So the rank controls how much learning capacity these metrics have. Low rank will be fast, but it kind of misses your complex patterns. So I would say like the rank 32 is a balanced choice in this case. So I downloaded all the necessary files to run the model, including the model weights, model.safe tensors, configuration files like generate config and process config, the chat templates for formatting inputs, and the topamizer files needed to convert text into tokens. So in short, everything is ready for the model to fine-tune. To make reinforcement learning efficient, we will use LoRA, which fine-tunes a model by adding only a small number of extra parameters. So you can think of it like 1 to 5% of the original rate instead of upgrading the entire model. So this code applies LoRA fine-tuning to a vision language model using PEFT, which adds lightweight readable adapters to selected transformer layers to efficiently adapt the model with reduced memory and cost. Finally, we have Sudoku solver code, which was generated using GPT. I won't go into too much details here and will instead move on to the reinforcement learning part. Let's set up the reinforcement learning environment. We need to add a strategy with time limits to prevent infinite loops. What it means is that there are many algorithms with a maximum time cutoff so that they stop if they take too long. To safely execute or generate a new Python function, you first verify that it doesn't rely on hidden global variables or the exploit shortcuts like reward hacking, ensuring it behaves correctly. This example is considered safe because it only uses Python function imports. Create the prompt that instructs the model to generate Sudoku solving strategy. You can customize this to some other path if needed. But in this case, you can see here, this is our prompt. Create a Sudoku solver strategy on linearly built-in Python functions. Only place numbers in cells that are both empty and should empty. And this is this. So we done this. Oops. So now it's time to introduce the reward function to guide training. The first is the function works, which rewards the model if the output is of syntactically valid Python function. The second is the no cheating, which penalizes the model if it imports external modules but relies on disallowed global dependencies, helping prevent reward hacking. Finally, strategy succeeds, another variable or function which evaluates whether the generated Sudoku solving strategy actually works in practice by running it and checking it successfully. So now let's run these two word functions. It's gonna take a few seconds. Now it's time to prepare the training data set. So you have the prompt and the answer. And then you'll basically create this training data set. Let's run this one too. So now we need to set up the GRPO trainer, its configuration. So Unsloth support GSPO, GRPO and other GRPO optimization techniques. If you look at the GRPO config here, we set the temperature, aligning it with decay. Optimization is Atom 8-bit. So gradient accumulation established 2, it can increase to 4 if needed. Number of generations is 2. And few other parameters which are defined. For optimal training, you can uncomment these parameters as well. And now we need to define the GRPO trainer. So we need the model, the processing plus the reward function, which is basically function works, no cheating, steadily succeeds, and the training data set which we created earlier. So we can pass this right away, and let's run this. If you see trainer or train is actually training the model, designing the strategy here, you can see this bold and everything. So far it's gonna take a long time because it has only run 3 POCs so far. It has to go to 60. So this table shows the training progress of the reinforcement learning system. Here each row represents one training iteration where we track the model performance. So we monitor training loss and the overall reward along with variability of reward across samples. The key metrics here is k-error divergence, bit millers, how much the model area is drifting. So now you can save the model using save underscore p-train function. You can also save the tokenizer. If you want to inference this, then first you need to apply the chat template which we saw earlier. Then you have role and content. And then from there, once you have the text tokenizer, now you can call it with the modern.generate, and then you pass the input. If let's say if you want to host this model in your production pipeline, you might have to do it short, might have to call the VLLM inference server, or you can also do some other inference server. But for that you need to convert it into float 16, and this is how you can actually do that. I don't care about hugging face here, so I'm not gonna run this line, and you can put your hugging face token if you want to push the hugging face out. As we discussed earlier, it also supports GEO49, the local format for scaling models. So if you want to say the two GEO for LoRA-CP format, you support it natively, or well, Unsloth support natively, and then you can support it, and you can use one of this following core networks. Again, I'm not going to stay returning face, and this is how you can actually push it to hugging face house in the GGO format or the CPP format.
Yeah, that's mostly it. We don't care about pushing to hugging face.
So yeah, that's mostly it from our side. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I have give you an overview of how to fine tune 0.4 locally, and I will see you in the next one.